Waylon Jennings' son, who is an incredible and very successful musician in his own right, tours with Willie Nelson, you name it, is a listener of the show. His last album, he produced it with Stephen King, and it dealt with the New World Order and tyranny. That was a couple years ago. We premiered it here. In fact, it premiered here, and the bots of the record company came after us saying, how do you have something that hasn't even been released yet? But we're going to premiere his new album that was dedicated to George Jones even before George Jones died, Old Possum, this year. So we're going to premiere never-before-heard songs today, and he's going to put some out to the public today as well. Some are already out there. Some will be premiered. Don't Wait Up for George, and that's the name of the album, Shooter Jennings. Of course, Old Possum was a big influence on his dad. Waylon Jennings, one of my favorite country music singers ever. Don't we think this outlaw country thing's gone a little too far? No, I don't think it has. So that's coming up for 30 minutes today. Of course, he did Summer of Rage last time. That was more of a rock album. That's the thing about Shooter Jennings, man. His rock albums are awesome, and I mean awesome. His country music is awesome. He just certainly is a chip off the old block. So Shooter Jennings is coming up to give us his breakdown on what's happening in the world. Guys, one of my papers just fell off. You mind giving that to me? Sorry. Now, let me just race through the news here, and then I want to give the number out. I specifically want to hear from you. The media is pointing out that they're getting threatening letters and phone calls at the Atlanta Medical Center saying, why are you bringing Ebola to the middle of a populated area? And this isn't a high-level security facility that's designed to keep this stuff. The public is figuring this out. Do they know about level 1 to level 4? Do they know the details? No, most of them don't. But they know enough from medical shows and movies that stuff like Ebola is underground behind multiple sealed entryways with all sorts of disinfection systems where people go through chemical disinfection, ultraviolet disinfection. The rubber suits they use are generally thrown away after one use. When you get around this kind of stuff, you got to stay in quarantine, depending on how long the pathogen gestates or develops as a vector inside the body until it's communicable. There's a lot of things. So why did they bring really strong strains of Ebola into Atlanta and into areas of Germany? Well, there's a larger question. And I'm going to do a whole report on this in the Nightly News tonight. So get ready for a special report I want to shoot today with the crew. I'm so busy, folks, I just direct people while I'm on air. Get me everything on the bipartisan BioShield program and bioweapons labs maps previous to 2002 and after 2002. News articles about mainstream media complaining about the level 4 bioweapons labs being built in major U.S. cities and on major transportation hub lines and on earthquake lines. But expanding on that, we can then show how I complained about it in 2002 and then show whenever the last big hurricane hit, was it 2005 or 6, hit Galveston, they built the level 4 facility on the beach in a level 2 area. It's not really level 4. And then it was hit by a hurricane, and the deadly pathogens like Ebola and smallpox that were being weaponized, of course, in the name of learning how to treat them. That's how they get around the biological weapons conventions. Let's get the guy that wrote the U.S. treaty on that got passed. Let's get Francis Boyle on this week if he can do it. That's a guy to talk about BioShield. Then they had a bipartisan move after 9/11 to quote, and of course the anthrax attack that turned out to be staged by Porton Down and certain individuals. That was a government false flag. We caught them red-handed on that to create fear and sell Tamiflu and other goodies, and to distract off 9/11 itself and the official story, and to keep the fear going. So there are the data points. We can kill two birds with one stone. I can give you some of the history of BioShield and all of this, and then move forward while preparing that report for tonight. But that's the issue. Since when did they build nuclear reactors on fault lines and not even maintenance them, basically? Since when did they tell nuclear workers, hey, don't worry if you get a dose of radiation now. Used to, we said, worry about it. It's not bad for you. Since when? 1990. Did they tell the military that DU's not bad for you? Go ahead and be around it. Wipe it all over your face. Breathe it. Sit on top of the ammo cans. Use it at Army proving ranges and other military ranges all over the world. Use them in places like Hawaii and places like Puerto Rico, right by public beaches. You ingest just a tiny amount in your lungs, it's a death sentence. It may take 20 years to kill you. It's a death sentence. And I've had the top radiologist, nuclear physicist, biologist, former head of the Army DU program, Dr. Doug Rockey, on probably 25 times or more. I mean, it's an absolute open and shut case. Since when did the government get to the point, who'd done plenty of evil stuff before, secret testing, atomic soldiers, Tuskegee, the list goes on, radiating foster children. Since when did they get to the point of just going, hey, we don't care if reactors are leaking, 94% of them, 93% of them worldwide, of 420-something or 430-something. Of course, there's more. There's reactors in submarines, secret reactors, and university reactors. So there's actually about 2,000 reactors that we know of if you count known submarines and research reactors, including the one underneath UT that's still operating because you can't shut it down, and the one up north that people walk up and go, you're a liar, there's no reactor. And just, okay, you said there's no reactor, there is none. You know, I mean, it just shows the maybe just say it's racist I said there's a reactor. Don't want to worry about the reactors under UT? Don't want to worry about the reactor up at J.J. Pickle, a very dangerous experimental unit that they're constantly messing with, doing all sorts of dangerous experiments with? You know what the answer is? Don't turn on the federally mandated alarms when they off gas, or when they dump it in the water supply. And, you know, just say it's racist if you talk about nuclear reactors. Racist against radiation. That's fine, Alex. What do you say about your racism? Hey, Alex, you caught bribery down at the state capitol on video. Is it racist because they're black? I just throw that in, folks. My son this morning looked at me, and I was talking about 2 + 2 = 4. He goes, yeah, the Hulk is green and the sky is blue. And I think I'm going to try to use that term, or maybe he didn't coin it. He said, I don't know if I coined it. He goes, I just think, you know, that's a nice statement when people say, is the Hulk green? He goes, it's better than you saying there's a bear crap in the woods. You say that too much, Dad. So I'm going to start saying, is the Hulk green? No, he's racist. And see, I'm being racist against the Jolly Green Giant right now. If the Jolly Green Giant had Ebola, if we don't bring him into the U.S., we're racist. So here's the issue. Ebola is now airborne. I'm going to break that down. The question is, how airborne? Is it airborne like a seed in the wind that can blow and then sprout, you know, 1,000 miles away? No. Is it airborne like some forms of the flu that you can get, you know, from 100 feet away in a shopping mall because somebody sneezes and a globulate of nasal, fluid goes out? Or is it airborne in that you got to be around it, right up close to it, 5 feet away? We're going to look at that. It's unprecedented to bring this into the country. Why is that happening? And why are Ebola patients being brought into level 2 hospitals? Plausible deniability. Why did they put in a bioshield? Of course, it's an oxymoron like the Patriot Act. It creates bioweapons, but also studies the treatment of them. So you call it bioshield. You call Obamacare care. And you call, death panel something else. Why are Ebola patients being brought into level 2 hospitals? Those are some of the questions. If you go up to Infowars.com, we have some of the headlines there. We have video. Border Patrol agent sums up startling gravity of immigrant crisis. I would just change it to Border Patrol agent issues desperate plea for help, says we're in a stage crisis. That's the headline. I'd change it. Continuing agri-terrorism, Fed shut down seed library in Pennsylvania. War on self-sufficiency intensifies. Yeah, they got 6-man SWAT teams for a guy that has a 20-year-old Range Rover that they don't think went and got the emissions test you were supposed to. But, boy, I'm sorry, we got to let people in with drug-resistant TB. It'd be racist to test them when they go to school, so sorry, all your kids have got to get it now. And nobody will be held accountable by government. Doctor, there's not enough panic to justify a cure for Ebola. That's a Paul Watson article. 25 critical facts about the Ebola outbreak that every American needs to know. That's a very important article up on Infowars.com. Tennessee doctor in self-quarantine on return from Liberia Ebola hotspot. The bizarre growth of the Ebola outbreak. The graph says it all. We're going to look at that graph. It's up on Infowars.com. We can put that up on television for folks if people punch up my computer. But there it is. There is the growth of Ebola. They call that a parabolic growth curve from March to July 30th. And that's the latest graph we've got from the World Health Organization. We've gone from 22, 23 cases up to 154